1970 was a year of challenge for the Bears, a challenge unique in the organization's half-century history. The 1970 team was asked to travel the long road back from a 1969 experience unprecedented for the Bears, a single victory out of 14 games. The objective was clearly defined for head coach Jim Dooley and his assistants. There was work to be done. There had to be a renewal of confidence and vitality. There had to be pride of accomplishment and revival of winning techniques. There had to be drastic changes made, and there were. Trades were made for seasoned NFL starters. The college player draft was productive, and those newcomers were blended in with solid veterans and maturing younger regulars. Thus, the team prepared for 1970. As in the past, the Bears of 1970 had a fierce, rugged defense. A defense that knocked down eager receivers and churning runners with equal efficiency and abandon. It was a defense that converged on anyone carrying a football. Defense with quality has to be a team effort, but it has to start with an individual in some area. Middle linebacker is most appropriate, and in Dick Butkus, the Bears have the best. Dick is a familiar sight to Bears partisans as he stops plays at the line or snuffs out quarterbacks behind it. Butkus's beat is from sideline to sideline, and he's a tireless, tenacious roamer. A familiar trademark is Butkus hitting. It is this aggressiveness and follow-through that have earned him all league honors 5 times in 6 years. Alongside Dick is 5-year veteran Doug Buffone, an outside linebacker whose 4 pass interceptions in 1970 were the most ever picked off by a Bear assigned to his particular position. The interceptions got the statistical attention, but Doug is equally effective against the run, and he hits with authority, too. And about all interceptions, there's teamwork involved in bringing about successful steals. And how about that defensive line of Willie Holman, Bill Staley, Ed O'Bradovich, and George Seals? Holman, number 85, is a 2-year man whose speed gets him to the pocket almost on the dot with the quarterback. And Willie is just as awesome at defensing the run. Or consider Bill Staley, number 76, the defensive tackle who came in one of those significant off-season trades. Staley and Holman on their side are mates, with George Seals and veteran Ed O'Bradovich teamed on the other. O'Bradovich, number 87, has been a scourge to rival quarterbacks since 1962. Seals is a transfer from offense, a fine guard on offense. George knows the equipment needed over on the other side. He uses that knowledge well on defense, getting to the passer or coping with the run. Third of the linebacking triumvirate is veteran Leroy Caffey, number 60, another acquisition by trade. And backing him up is Ross Brubacher, number 31, a 4th-round draft choice for 1970. The Bears' defensive front line and linebackers collaborated to finish 4th in rushing defense overall and 1st in fewest average yards per rush allowed the opposition. The defensive secondary was experienced with the addition of Phil Clark, number 39, who came in a trade. He joined Joe Taylor, number 20. And 9-year Bear veteran Benny McRae, number 26. Dick Daniels, number 23, rounds out the quartet. It was well that the defense had muscular efficiency down in the enemy zone, and too often field goals had to be the resort. Mac Percival had a good place-kicking year, 20 field goals, including the second 50-yarder of his career. And when it became evident that the Bears would have to turn to the pass as a weapon, Percival once even became a receiver. In another switch, punter Bobby Joe Green twice completed passes. There was a chance for a more conventional attack, too, with development of 2 fine first-year receivers. A trade brought ex-Notre Dame All-American Jim Seymour from the Los Angeles Rams. And though he caught only 6 passes, his scoring percentage was phenomenal, as 4 were for touchdowns. 2 in the win over New Orleans, and the other 2 from Bobby Douglas in the victory over Buffalo. Probably the most pleasant surprise among the rookies was 3rd-round draft choice George Farmer. He improved steadily and wound up with 28 catches. Farmer technically was a number 1 pick because the rebuilding program included the trades of the Bears' regular 1st and 2nd choices.
Chicago traveled to Yankee Stadium, hoping to restore the Bear legacy, which had been buried under 13 losses in 1969. It seemed that nothing had changed but the setting. While the Chicago offense floundered as they had in '69, Fran Tarkenton, number 10, began to tear the Bear defense to shreds. Even the Bears on the bench began to realize that this could be the start of another long winter. The Giants grabbed the advantage and pressed it for points as Tarkenton and Ron Johnson, number 30, teamed to give New York the quick advantage. For Chicago, this pattern was familiar. In '69, the Bears had been unable to generate the spirit needed to come back. On this night, number 21, Cecil Turner, proved that this was indeed a new season. Turner's 95-yard return brought back the spark, and Mac Percival's extra point proved that the Bears may be in line for a few of the breaks this season as well. With this kind of impetus, the long dormant Bear attack roared to life. Jack Concannon hit high-stepping Bob Wallace, number 89, as the Chicago offense began to roll consistently. A Percival field goal and a 1-yard Concannon sneak swept Chicago into the lead, and the rest of the Bears knew what they had to do to hold it. The Chicago Bears have always known how to hit. And now the Giants found themselves running into a charge led by the master, Dick Butkus, number 51. The Butkus-led defense shattered the New York front lines and held the Giants to 3 second-half points and a game total of 51 yards rushing. In the 4th quarter, the Giants discovered the full magnitude of the Butkus influence. His one-handed interception crushed the last New York drive, and then Concannon put the game away with a pitch to Dick Gordon. With the 24-16 victory, Chicago had regained the hope of a contender and rediscovered the joy of a winner.
The critical crusade began formally on a September Saturday night in Yankee Stadium. Bears against Giants in another link in a rivalry that began a long time ago. There was almost instant excitement for the Bears. After the Giants had scored an early field goal, Cecil Turner took the kickoff that followed and ran it back 95 yards for a touchdown. But the 7-3 lead melted as Fran Tarkenton passed the Giants into command and brought about a 13-10 advantage for them at the half. For the Bears, there was readjustment in the second half. Jack Concannon used the running of Gale Sayers to set up his passing game. The balanced attack eventually put the Bears into a 17-16 lead, with Concannon getting the final yard and touchdown. Then the Bears defense subjected Tarkenton and his receivers to pressure severe enough that the lead held up. One instance of this fierce defense was Doug Buffone's interception. It set up a Concannon to Dick Gordon pass for a clincher score.
In Chicago, the young Philadelphia Eagles were told an old children's story. It was the story of the Beauty and the Beast. Number 51, Dick Butkus, and the 10 other little horrors of the Bear defense worked over Cyril Pender, number 22, and Lee Bogus, number 46, the two Eagle setbacks. The story had a happy ending as the Beast met the Beauty and fell head over heels in love with him. While the big bad Bears were brutal, they were also beautiful as quarterback Jack Concannon led the Eagles on a merry chase. Though outgained and outfought for most of the day, Chicago made the big plays. Wobbly halfback passes somehow found their mark when the Bears were desperate. The Eagles' offense connected on plays seemingly designed on a sandlot. The Bears' most demoralizing play was performed by Cecil Turner, who ran the opening kickoff back 96 yards for a touchdown. Just the week before, Turner had scored on a 95-yard return against the New York Giants. Philadelphia quarterback Norm Snead was brilliant, hitting on 24 of 33 passes. Behind 7-0, he led the Eagles to their first score with this touchdown pass to Gary Ballman. When an option pass from Ronnie Bull to Dick Gordon fooled the Eagles a second time, the Bears gained a 17-9 advantage with but a quarter to play. Snead drove Philadelphia to within 1 point of Chicago as first he speared Ballman at the Chicago 12, then cannily sent Lee Bogus pirouetting through the Bears on a delay for a touchdown. Within 1 point at 17-16, the Beast rose up to smite Philadelphia. Dick Butkus, number 51, crept up into the line and, untouched, he blitzed the Eagles' last hope. Mac Percival's field goal sealed the Bears' second straight victory. With no time left, the Beast had 20, the Beauty 16, as the lights went out on Philadelphia.
The next week, the Bears opened at home. For the first time in history, the home opener was on a site other than Wrigley Field as they met the Philadelphia Eagles in Northwestern University's Dyke Stadium. For the second straight week, Cecil Turner produced an early spectacular when he returned the opening kickoff, this time for 96 yards and a touchdown. But just as the Giants had done the week before, the Eagles came back to make it a close game. But they couldn't move ahead as the Bears' defense again was grudging. Once, for instance, their pressure forced a hurried snap on an Eagle field goal attempt to set up a Bears touchdown. Ron Bull took a pitch out from Concannon and left-handed a pass to Gordon. So the Bears had an encouraging 2-0 start with many similarities in the two victories. Turner's two kickoff returns for scores, a stout defense, and vital touchdown passes caught by Dick Gordon. The Bears were up against another unbeaten opponent, Detroit, in their third start in a nationally televised contest. With Concannon scrambling or throwing strikes, the Bears took a 7-0 lead. The lead came when Gordon got behind Lem Barney for the catch. On defense, the Bears stalked and cut down the talented Lion runners to preserve the 7-0 lead at halftime. But the Lions' defense reversed the momentum in the third quarter. And the Lion offense scored 3 times for a 21-7 margin. On the first play of the fourth quarter, however, Gordon beat Barney again, this time from 60 yards out. Unfortunately, that score was the Bears' final threatening gesture, and the Bears had their first loss of 1970, 28-14. When the teams met again in Wrigley Field 3 weeks later, the Bears came up with one of their better displays of the season. Again, it was the Concannon-Gordon combination, beating Barney with a 53-yard bomb and a quick lead. Despite success in the air, including this 60-yarder to George Farmer to the Detroit 4, the Bears failed to capitalize. It was the inability to score from in close that was to torment the Bears all year.
The Chicago Bears and San Diego Chargers game was a defensive stalemate. But number 51, Dick Butkus, evened the odds as he pursued, pinpointed, then poleaxed Charger setbacks all afternoon. The first score resulted from a play-action fake by Concannon and a perfect touchdown strike to Dick Gordon at the edge of the end zone. For an easy 7 points when Phil Clark gambled for an interception and lost as the Chargers notched their first victory of the year, 20-7. Chicago middle linebacker Dick Butkus, number 51, is football's most fierce competitor. A man who is able to generate so much enthusiasm within himself that on every play, every member of the opposing team becomes a marked man, eligible to become part of the Butkus experience. But of all his inspired performances, it would be difficult to recall anyone more inspired than last Sunday's against the Detroit Lions. This was the second meeting of the season for the two clubs. Detroit won the first game at home, but now in Wrigley Field, the Butkus-led Bears made any hopes of a similar outcome painful ones indeed. So ferocious was the hitting that Lion ball carriers resembled men dancing through a cow pasture at midnight. As they had done in the first game, the Bears took a 7-0 first quarter lead on a pass from Jack Concannon, number 11, to Dick Gordon, number 45. But as also happened in the first game, the Bears began making mistakes that eventually cost them the game. The Lions recovered a fumble to nullify a second quarter drive and intercepted 3 passes to provide themselves with scoring opportunities. Wayne Rasmussen got one in the third quarter that led to one of 3 Errol Mann field goals. As the fourth quarter began, Bill Munson, number 19, found Earl McCullough, number 25, deep in the end zone, and the Lions got the lead 13-7. Both the teams then exchanged field goals to create the 16-10 outcome. But the fact that the Lions had won left at least one man looking for an explanation.
In this rematch against the Lions, the Bears played inspired football on defense. They shut off both running and passing until the fourth quarter, when Bill Munson probed the Bears secondary and found Earl McCullough for a 13-7 lead, Detroit's first of the game. But the Bears didn't fold, and they moved into Lion territory. While this play cheered their fans, Chicago had to settle for a field goal and wound up with a 16-10 defeat. Missed opportunities had been costly to the Bears. The defense had played magnificently in a performance that was repeated many times this season. In Atlanta, the Bears' dependency on the pass would trouble them. Concannon faced a tough Falcon rush line that pressured both him and his receivers. With Chicago unable to move, Atlanta's Bob Berry passed the Falcons to a 14-13 lead. But in the end, a familiar equation would lead the Bears to a win. As in their opening 2 successes, defense plus Cecil Turner equaled victory. Turner's third touchdown return of the season keyed the Bears' third victory. Most encouraging, however, the Bears showed steady improvement for the rest of the year against increasingly talented opposition. The competitive aspects of the Bears-Packers rivalry was reflected in the outcome of their first meeting. The Bears found themselves behind early as Bart Starr coolly moved the Pack to a 10-0 halftime lead. It was the defense that got Chicago moving as Joe Taylor intercepted a star pass to set up a field goal. And Concannon and Gordon tied the game on a 69-yard bomb. They teamed again to set up a Percival field goal and the Bears' first lead. Chicago built the lead to 19-13 on 2 more field goals, but Starr would soon change that. He did it by moving the Pack 80 yards in 1 minute and 40 seconds. In the huddle, he called his own number, and with 7 seconds left, he finished the job. The Bears suffered a disheartening 20-19 loss in a game in which they had played well enough to win. Coach Jim.
In Green Bay, where the Packers and Bears met in a game to escape the NFC Central Division cellar, another quarterback was about to prove himself anew. Although not expected to start, Bart Starr led the Pack into battle once again. Bart was the star of old in the first half, and he coolly drove the Packers to the only first-half touchdown, a 14-yard dash by Donnie Anderson. Chicago's brightest star is Dick Gordon, who had caught 6 touchdown passes this season. In the second half of this game, he made it 7 on a 69-yard bomb from Jack Concannon to tie the score at 10-10. The same pair teamed again to set up one of 4 Mac Percival field goals as the Bears led for the first time. Then the defense showed they had no respect for age and set out to ruin a veteran passer's Sunday afternoon. But with 1:20 to go and trailing 19-13, Starr's day brightened again. He led the Packers on an 8-play drive, completing 5 of the 23 passes he completed in the game. Starr called his own number with 7 seconds left and strolled around right in for the final 3 yards as Green Bay topped the Bears 20-19, and Bart Starr proved again that he can be one of the game's best quarterbacks.
Jim Dooley used Bobby Douglas at quarterback for the game against the AFC's Buffalo Bills. The change brought results as Douglas fired 4 touchdown passes. 2 went to Seymour and 2 more to Gordon. For Gordon, they were his 9th and 10th touchdowns in 10 games. Douglas led the Bears to a 31-13 win, but he suffered a broken bone in his left wrist. He was out for the rest of the year, but with a memory of the fact that he threw 3 of his 4 touchdown passes after the injury occurred.
At Wrigley Field, Chicago, the chill factor hovered around 0 as the Bears once again rolled out their version of the welcome wagon, this time for the Buffalo Bills. Dick Butkus, number 51, Leroy Caffey, number 60, and Doug Buffone, number 55, were busy all afternoon, introducing the Bills to Chicago-style football. The Bear defense, although probably the most physical anywhere, has not been forcing the errors that turn ball games around. Not until Sunday, that is, as the Bears were all over the field, making breaks for themselves, even to the point of ad-libbing a few. While Chicago's defense has remained intact for the season, the offense has seen considerable shuffling. The latest deal had Bobby Douglas, number 10, back at quarterback. Anxious to succeed in his first start of 1970, he threw a touchdown pass on the Bears' first play of the game. Unfortunately, it went to the Bills' Butch Bird, number 42. Having seen Butkus in action, the Bills showed a remarkable ability to knock a few heads themselves. They got to Douglas a total of 7 times and managed to upset his timing on passes he did get off. But Douglas did settle down and threw 4 touchdown passes. 2 of them went to Dick Gordon, number 45, who continues to be the Bears' most productive receiver. But the Bears unveiled yet another wrinkle in their offense. The former Notre Dame star Jim Seymour, number 84. He collected a second quarter pass and slid safely into home for the Bears' second touchdown. Seymour, who is recovering from a year-long case of the Army, was then part of one of the season's great plays. Douglas was scrambling around from the rush when he suddenly fired a pass 60 yards in the air to Seymour, all alone in the end zone. Douglas completed only 8 passes in 20 attempts, but they were enough as the Bears won 31-13. The new combination of Douglas to Seymour will have to wait, though, until next year because Douglas broke his wrist. But they may be just what the Bears need to complement Dick Butkus, who is, of course, a combination all by himself.
The following week, it was back to Concannon against eventual Super Bowl champion Baltimore and Johnny Unitas. The Bear defense wasn't odd, and in the first quarter intercepted 3 of his passes. Two of them set up touchdowns, first on a hit to Farmer, and then a short one to Rich Cody. And the Bears continued to move well and build up a quick 17-0 lead. But by halftime, Unitas had brought the Colts close at 17-14. In the second half, the Bears intercepted two more Unitas passes and with less than 4 minutes to play, held a 20-14 lead. But then Unitas averted an upset when he hit John Mackey for a game-breaking 54-yard touchdown. The Bears, sadly, were on the short end of another one-pointer. The Bears next met the Vikings on a bitterly cold day at Minnesota as the offense was matched against the NFL's best defense. The Bears moved well in the first half, but could get only 2 field goals. The defense played another good game, too, and also gave up only 2 3-pointers. Actually, all that kept the game close was the Bears' inability to put points on the board when in scoring position. Only 1 touchdown scorched the Chicago defense, but that, plus 3 field goals, put the Vikings on the long end of a 16-6 score. That lead lasted only until Turner got his hands on a Minnesota kickoff, and the result? Right, an 88-yard touchdown return. Turner's 4th of the season, and important because it tied the NFL record set by Travis Williams of Green Bay in 1967. But for the first time, Cecil's blue-chip effort came in a losing cause. The previous 3 all had figured in Bear wins.
In Minnesota, where the Vikings met the Bears, if the sight of a snowmobile on a snowless field seemed strange, it was only the forebearer of what was to come. The Bears took the stage first, with Ron Smith, the first performer. Smith casualed over to a Viking punt and tried his version of Steal the Bacon. Don Schei provided the next act when he batted a pass back over his head right into Wally Hilgenberg's hand. Jack Concannon wrapped up the sideshow with his version of the drop back. Not to be outdone, Bob Lee, number 19, performed the drop back with handoff. The Vikings showed more diversification, for they had Dave Osborne, who could do the drop back too. Not surprisingly, the score at halftime was 6-6. The Vikings relied on the rushes of Dave Osborne. He gained 139 yards for the day, 3rd highest in Viking history, and Clint Jones tacked on 61 more. The Bears, on the other hand, moved on the passes of Jack Concannon to league-leading receiver Dick Gordon. Lee, filling in for injured Gary Quazzo, managed 1 touchdown pass, a 33-yarder to John Henderson. Along with 3 field goals by Fred Cox, the Vikings led 16-6. But following his 3rd 3-pointer, he made the mistake of kicking the ball to Cecil Turner, who sprinted 88 yards to bring the Bears close at 16-13. It was Turner's fourth kickoff return touchdown of the season, tying Travis Williams' 1967 record. But it wasn't enough as the Vikings clinched the NFC Central title and sent their fans home happy. Well, most of them anyway.
The second meeting with Green Bay undoubtedly was the Bears' finest showing of the season. An early injury sidelined Bart Starr, always a nemesis to the Bears and to many others in pro football too, for that matter. The Bears' defense was superb, reaching the Green Bay pocket 9 times. Everything worked to perfection, and individually, Concannon enjoyed his best single game. Backs as well as ends were used in a 339-yard air offense that saw 22 completions, 4 for touchdowns. Concannon was operating at high efficiency. He avoided the costly interception, and once, with his receivers covered, he ran for the score himself. But 4 times he hit touchdown targets. George Farmer made what was by now a standard catch. Dick Gordon got touchdowns number 11 and 12. And Concannon wrapped up the 35-17 win with a touchdown pass to Ray Ogden. The development of the passing game was due in part to an improving offensive line. Co-captain Jim Cadillo, Bob Hyland, another.
In New Orleans, Christmas is celebrated just like anywhere else, by giving. And both the Bears and the Saints were in the Christmas spirit as 5 interceptions occurred in the first quarter. Like true Saints, New Orleans fellow was more blessed to give than to receive. And a traditionally solid Bear defense gladly accepted the gifts. This is not the same Chicago team that won only a single game all last year. The Bears' improvement is due largely to the play of reserves like number 22 Ross Montgomery, who filled in for injured Gale Sayers. But the biggest change of all has occurred in the Chicago passing game. Young, swift receivers like number 84 Jim Seymour have given veteran quarterback Jack Concannon the opportunity to show his long dormant skills. Last year, the big problem in Chicago was who to play at quarterback. But this year, Concannon has been a key figure in the Bears' improved season. Seymour, acquired from the Rams, has become a valuable addition and caught 2 Concannon passes for touchdowns. After spending most of last year on the bench, Concannon has become a well-rounded quarterback and is combined with number 45 Dick Gordon, the NFL's leading receiver, to give the Bears another long-range weapon. It was Concannon and Gordon again for the final score. The 24-3 Chicago victory capped a much improved year for the Bears and especially for Jack Concannon.
Trade acquisition. Wayne Mass and rookies Glenn Holloway and Jeff Kirchin, who filled in for injured Howard Mudd and Randy Jackson. The Bears' season closed with a 24-3 win at New Orleans. Craig Bainham returned from an early season injury and teamed with second-year man Ross Montgomery, number 22, who ran for 65 yards to wind up as the rushing leader for the Bears. Concannon had another big day, completing 26 passes for 270 yards. Gordon caught 9 passes and cinched his NFL receiving title. And Concannon tossed 3 more touchdowns. The stretch drive of 6 games was significant. The Bears won 3 by comfortable margins, and the 3 losses were by a total of only 5 points. So the Bears of 70 wound up with 6 wins and 8 losses. Emphatic improvement. And with a break here and there in the close ones, it might have been even better.